It's Super Bowl weekend, 49ers versus Chiefs. The big game's coming up, and we are here to break down this game and give you our predictions.
Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy JD6 here with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Aftermath Podcast. I am your host, Christopher Tenpenny, joined by my co-host, CJ Jones, Keegan Russell. Boys, it's Super Bowl week.
It's finally here.
We're just a few hours away. Two more sleeps. How are we feeling? Let's just get that right out. How's everyone feeling as we get close to the big game?
The anxiety is sitting in. But for me, the anxiety is I'm just anxious to get this thing kicked off. I'm ready. Be like CJ, I'm calm.
So much. You're very excited about the opportunity. So yeah, first one I was a wreck because we've never been there before. The second one I was probably twice as bad because our O-line was decimated. This one I'm more at ease just because I know we can get stops. I know if like anything happens during a game, we've been in so many bad moments this year. We've overcame that to get to this moment. So I think this team won't get rattled by any they scored first or a turnover or anything happened during the game. They've been through everything this year. So I think that's probably why I'm more at peace because we've seen every obstacle you could think of and they've overcame it. So at this point, like you said, we just got to go out there and play the game. Now I think the boys are focused and locked in, and I think they know what to do in this moment.
The playoff switch has been flipped up. All those episodes we sat on here during the season,
they're not going to
worry, the frustration, they don't have the right team this year. All that's out the window. We got 4 more quarters of football, and I could not feel more confident about this team. I know we're going to get into all of it, but just everything about how Super Bowl week has gone so far, to me, just screams the Chiefs they got it. I have no nerves.
Yeah, it's crazy how fourth time here, and like CJ, you and I have done a few of these now, and just I know it's a little bit of tiredness because there's been a lot of shows, but just your level right now is completely different from when this first go around went because it's just it's crazy to say same old, but that's just where we are as Chiefs fans because it's the 4th time in 5 years, 6 straight times that we've made a deep run in the playoffs. Can't believe it. And we're going to get into the game, but real quick before we do, please, before we go any further, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Check out all the other stuff KC Sports Authority is doing. There's a lot of good KU content. Baseball content is still slowly starting to come out with the Royals and their excitement. So please make sure to check out everything else. Now, enough of that. Back to the Super Bowl. And actually, you know where I want to start? Because it's crazy that this is the biggest storyline in my mind of this week. Maybe not of the game, but of this week. Why have the Niners been such crybabies all week?
Every day.
It's
adversity
story every day.
Adversity.
It's with the CEO saying, they held, and Nick Bosa saying they held, and now Christian McCaffrey's mother is saying that a fire alarm went off, was an inside job. She has a quote
this morning.
Someone talked to her when a fire alarm went off in the 49ers hotel
with
at
all their
6
families.
a.m., by the way. So George Kittle said it was 7 minutes before he was supposed to get up. That's a direct quote from George Kittle. So it wasn't like it was 1 a.m., 2 a.m., right before most of the guys were going to start getting up. And Christian McCaffrey's mother, I've said it 3 times because it's just wild that's how crybaby this whole organization has been this week, is complaining about it's an inside job from the Chiefs to pull the fire alarm. What is up? What is in the water, guys? What is up?
Why got to be us? Dang, that's crazy. We've reached that level. They think we're like the Patriots. We're pulling fire alarms. We're that bad now?
At 6 a.m. too. Even if that was a strategy, that's a terrible strategy.
That is a terrible. If I was going to try to wake somebody up, I'd do maybe 3 a.m., 4 a.m., but definitely not 6. 6 is nothing. You get up 6 all the time.
Half the guys are about to get up.
Oh my God, 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun's up.
It's been a different excuse every day this week. They have had everything you can imagine the grass is too soft. We got to practice on something harder, or the pillows weren't fluffed enough for me to get good sleep last night. The travel, whatever it is, it's been excuse after excuse. And I think we said this when we were on the 49ers podcast earlier this week. It's just, you can see there's 2 completely different mindsets. The Chiefs have said all week long and the week leading up, this is a business trip. We're here to get the job done. The 49ers have done the exact opposite, and it's been a little pity party diva type mentality of everything is going to find a way to stack against us. Like, they are not a team that has come into media week this week at all and really felt confident, in my opinion. Like, nothing they've said really screams that they're a confident football team. It's like they're finding a reason that if they lose this game, that they can point to 100 different things this week. Whereas the Chiefs are just going, hey, we've been here, we've done this before, and we're locked in. We know we have a tough opponent on the other side, but there's no excuse not to get this thing done. And whereas the 49ers are coming up with everything they can to throw out there just in case they lose this game.
And I know the grass thing was a big deal, which is funny because now we've deal with this 2 years in a row. First, it was the game field wasn't good enough. Now the practice field isn't good enough. So if we make it to the Super Bowl next year, I wonder what's the next story going to be. Is it the travel? Something's not. It's always something's not good enough when the Chiefs play you. So
and then the Chiefs get out there and practice in the rain with the full pads just to one up them, gamesmanship.
So it's always fun and games. No, I think
it's been a fun
in this game. Like the Super Bowl week has lived up to the hype. Usually, like you have like dull Super Bowl weeks, or like somebody says like some kind of bulletin board material. Nobody really said nothing like trash talky wise. I mean, unless you count Charvarius Ward like saying, "Oh, it's better over here. Everything's better." But outside of that, nobody really like said anything like quotable to say, "Oh, they're talking trash." That's going to get the guys fired up. But there has been plenty of moments this week that's been it's lived up to the Super Bowl hype. So it's been funny. I've been laughing on the timeline all week. I haven't really been talking too much outside of doing podcasts with other 49ers fans, but to hear all the stories, like Keegan said, it's hilarious how every day it's like something else about what the 49ers are saying. And like if you all talk to their fans, they'll say the same thing about us. You guys think you're doubted. I'm like, well, we're 2.5-point underdogs. What are you supposed to say?
We've been doubted all year.
You. I mean, we had like one person pick us on TV last week when we played the Ravens. Nobody picked us to beat the Bills. So the fact that you're like, well, are you guys getting picked now? So I'm like, so you're mad because we earned our respect. So we've won 2 games we weren't supposed to win. So it's funny how everyone has this narrative in their head. They hear what they want to hear. So like the Super Bowl week hype and media has lived up to it for me. Now we're just ready to play the football game now. So tomorrow we can just lock in and get ready for Sunday for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I just think it's you say it's been exciting. I still think this week's been a little bit more dull, and I think a lot of the attention has been on either Travis Kelce, rightfully so, and who he's dating, and Brock Purdy and the Niners and all the complaining and everything. I think it's so weird how little actual conversation has been about the best player in the world. Like all everyone says is, oh, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. That's why this, and then they move on. They'll start talking about the run game. They'll start talking about the Chiefs defense. It's like, that should be it's already at the point where people are bored of it. Like they don't want to hear about Patrick. They don't want to hear about how he can do everything. His pocket presence is incredible. How he makes every read, doesn't make mistakes. Like I feel like that is something that the national media spent so little time. Maybe it's because everyone knows, but I don't know, man. Like I just kind of blows my mind that when Tom Brady makes these Super Bowls, that's all anyone talks about. Now that we're that used to be what all we talked about. The first 3 was Pat, and now here in 4, it's like he's like the 4th, 5th thing brought up. Which I don't know, man. If you're the best player in the world, that just kind of has blown my mind this week.
It has kind of been an oddly quiet week as far as like you're saying, as far as the media goes. I mean, there's plenty of people out there. It's Vegas. They're having a good time. This is probably going to potentially set up the NFL to try and squeeze Vegas into the Super Bowl as frequently as possible just because of location. But it has kind of been oddly quiet media wise. I mean, you've had plenty of stars out there and good sound bites. But as far as like content from the teams themselves and the players talking and the coaches, I mean, outside of what you guys have already mentioned, like the only other thing we've really heard is the conspiracy of, was Kyle Shanahan drunk during his first press conference because he looked a little out of it? And like, I don't know, but there just hasn't been a whole lot that's been showcased, I think, back to the national fan base, or at least not as Chiefs fans that we've seen. Maybe there's been a lot more on the 49ers side that's been kicked out to their fan base, but it's been kind of an oddly quiet week. Haven't really had anything other than, the Chiefs with the disciplined demeanor of, hey, we're here to win. We respect the team that's over there, but we know what we got to do to win, and we're going to go out and do it, and we're ready for it.
No, it should be a fun game. Obviously, we know the matchup is really good, and obviously, I think the reason why like most Chiefs fans haven't really been as choppy or talkative because, like you said, we've really heard this the last 3 weeks. So when I hear Niners fans kind of try to rebuttal and say, why are you guys taking an underdog story and why are you guys saying you aren't in favor? I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're supposed to lose to Miami. Most of y'all didn't think we would even make the playoffs in the first place after that Raiders game, or even before that when we lost to the Broncos midway through the season. So the fact that they've gotten here, of course, people are going to be cocky and talk back and try to find little tidbits of what family members are saying, or media is asking stupid questions. Like they asked Kelsey that question, who's going to get a ring first? You or Taylor, or the Niners or Taylor? And then he respectfully swerved it and said, I'm looking forward to getting one on Sunday. How about that?
Yeah.
So like there's always like these jousts, and you could tell the Chiefs are so veteran like led about this process. Like Chris said, they've done this 4 times in the last 5 years. Like every year they've been in big games into January or February. So when the media tries to ask them a question, they like, bro, we don't care. Like,
you can Sunday, actually place a bet on if Kelsey proposes to Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. That is an actual bet you can go find right now.
The odds are ridiculous.
Oh, the odds are stupid.
Because he's not.
Because he's not good.
Like, if they did that, then everyone who thinks that it's a sham relationship, I think there's still a few of those hard hat people out there, but they would be
those kisses they have look pretty legit.
Exactly.
Or they're just really good actors.
Yeah, Trav's trying to be the next Rock, isn't that what they're saying? He's gonna once he's done with football. But going back to like the experience part we were talking about is obviously when you're going back to back, like naturally you're gonna have a lot of Super Bowl experience. But like it's crazy because a lot of the guys they brought in the Mike Edwards and the Donovan Smiths and these guys had Super Bowl experience as well. So you have outside of really the rookies and like Drew Tranquil, everyone that's getting reps played in a Super Bowl before outside of those guys. So like I think that is huge. Like sure, the stars outside of Purdy on the Niners have played in the Super Bowl, but a lot of their depth guys, Greenlaw wasn't really a main factor 4 years ago. He was still kind of getting his feet wet. He was kind of more of a Leo Chenal kind of linebacker, and their secondary is completely different. Like I think that is a huge factor that, again, I don't think is being talked about enough. Like when those lights are on, it's just a completely different feeling, and one team knows how to react and has had the mindset for 2 weeks, while another team doesn't necessarily and has been acting a little childish. I'm going to keep bringing that up because it's pissing me off.
I mean, it reflects their coaching staff, if you ask me. I mean, I'm not saying that Kyle Shanahan is a child or a bad coach by any means, but he's kind of always, even though he's been a very successful coach at most years, he's always kind of carried himself with some sort of demeanor that doesn't always feel like he's the true. He's not a Nick Sirianni by any means. I mean, we know that guy.
Oh, he's not that bad.
But he's not. He doesn't carry the Andy Reid type presence, I think, in a football team like you see with Andy. So that's probably a lot of it too. But I mean, you got to think a lot of the guys they have on the team. I mean, George Kittle is like our Travis Kelce. George Kittle is a rock star. He's very energetic, outgoing, media attention grabbing guy. Everyone loves Christian McCaffrey. They've got a lot of guys out there that just capture a lot of attention. But yeah, you can clearly tell this week. Not saying they've been immature, but they haven't handled, I think, the pressure of the light, so to speak, in the same way that the Chiefs have. And maybe that is the experience we have. I mean, I know we talked about it last night off air some, and I don't think we did the full numbers, but this Chiefs team has something like 40 plus players of the 53-man roster, somewhere around there, that played in this game last year. That's huge. There are very, very few teams in NFL history that can probably say that, obviously, because not many teams go back to back. So the fact that we can carry that experience into this game, not just on the players, but the coaching staff, basically keeping just about everybody for the most part from last year, that just brings so much of an advantage in here, that now that these games are under so much more pressure and you got a tight microscope you're looking on. I mean, as I start going down, yes, the 49ers roster might still have the edge, but quarterback, coaching staff, play calling, whatever, all that adds up, and it just seems like it's the overarching favor towards the Chiefs.
I can't understand I think the defense, like Chris, how you said like the Pat's not getting enough respect or like talk enough of what he's doing. I don't think Steve Spagnuolo and his defense is getting enough respect, because I still see a lot of talking heads on TV and the radio telling me how the Niners defense is going to slow down the Chiefs offense based off our run game, Joe Tooney not being there, our receiver room not being deep. But there's like some subtle respect for what Steve Spagnuolo's done. But the thing that really pissed me off, to not have even a vote for the Assistant Coach of the Year award. Like, no disrespect to Jim Schwartz and what he did in Cleveland. He had an amazing job this year. They were a good football team. And then obviously Stefanski deserved to be the head coach of the year. So his staff was great. Like, he had a good staff. But for Steve Spagnuolo not to even be on the ballot, to even get voted, was the most disrespectful thing, in my opinion. Like, of all the assistant coaches in the league this year, there's nobody that did a better job to ascend their group to be as good as they are right now. and especially with your best player, Chris Jones, missing a game, Charles Minnie, who missing 7 games, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, both being in and out the lineup. I don't think there's no more adversity just in your offense being the complete opposite of what the Chiefs are used to being, and for them to be where they're at right now. So I think the Chiefs defense, they're getting their credit for the most part, but I don't think they're getting enough credit. Obviously, offense sells tickets. That's what people want to hear and see and talk about. But the job that Steve Spagnuolo did this year, we all know it. I wish the media would give him more respect. I think for people trying to justify why the Niners defense is better because they have bigger names, I'm like, they're not a better defense than the Chiefs right now, in my humble opinion. And I think more people need to give them their respect, honestly. I just don't think they're getting their flowers enough for what they've done.
And their coordinator's not to the same. Steve Wilkes is not on the same level as Spags right now.
Exactly. I think they're just going off the names overall. But I'm like, there's not a better corner on there than L'Jarius Sneed or Trent McDuffie. I know Travarius Ward was all pro this year, but he wasn't better than those two, in my opinion.
Right.
Obviously, like their pass rushers, they have Nick Bosa and Chris Jones. Obviously, kind of wash each other out. And then obviously we don't have Charles Omenihu this week. But to try to act like our safeties and our linebackers are not even close to the level of what they have, when Hufanga, they're all pro safeties not playing, I think people are just trying to justify why the Niners defense, because they have bigger names. But as a unit, I don't think they're nowhere better than the Chiefs, in my opinion, right now. And they showed it the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, the entire organization has been getting disrespect. Like you're the reigning Super Bowl champs. You've won, you've been to this game now 4 times in the last 5 years. And you have an all-pro left guard who's not playing in this game, an all-pro slot corner, which a lot of people don't know about, and a second-team all-pro DT. No finalists in any other award. That's it. Like, you have 2 award guys playing in this game that have brought home any hardware. Now, I know Trav got like first or second in the player one, but that doesn't count. He didn't make the all-pro one. Like, it blows my mind. Andy Reid's never up for Coach of the Year. Steve Spags is never. Like, I just can't understand how we're already at the point where we're overlooking them. And now, it's like, oh, we're going to make them the favorite in this game because they have Patrick Mahomes. It's like, no, the damage has been done. Like, you have already looked at this. Like, I'm honestly surprised that McDuffie is on the all-pro team. Like, that's the only level of respect, really, the Chiefs have gotten all year.
I thought he would have been second, but the fact that Snead wasn't on either one is the most disrespectful thing.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. There was not a better corner than Snead this year.
And half the reason McDuffie's on that list is because Snead's on the outside locking that part down. So
exactly
McDuffie my point.
They both
can
are
do
all
what he
pro,
does.
So
like,
it was clearly first team. Like, what are we
just
doing, bro?
Down and it's at the end of the day, it's a team sport. And I guess if the Chiefs have no award winners in anything, and yet they're in the Super Bowl, then maybe that's why they're favored, because they have the best team. Like, we keep trying to tell ourselves that the roster is better in San Fran, but the more and more you start looking how people have reacted, like, maybe it is the Chiefs with the better roster. They're just lesser known names. I don't know, man. I may just be in my hate era, to quote someone else that does stuff for the Chiefs, I guess. But I was trying not to say the name. But I just feel like it's just been, the cover, like I think you said, CJ, at the open, the cover is, oh, we're gonna make the Chiefs favored. No, the Chiefs have been underdogs and disrespected.
You said you have the better roster, right? So go ahead.
This. So like, oh my God,
we tend to play better as the underdog this year anyway.
I wasn't really nothing really, like, y'all know me. I really don't care about what other teams and like people say. The only 2 things that really pissed me off were L'Jarius Sneed not being first team All Pro and Steve Spagnuolo not being even on the ballot. Not even saying he should have won it, in my opinion, but he wasn't even voted as assistant coach of the year. It's taking his defense from a 20 to 25 ranked unit to being a top 2 number 1 unit in the playoffs right now. So the fact that he wasn't even voted, that's the most disrespectful thing. I think he comes out with his hair on fire. I know he won't say it, but players are going to see, like, he wasn't even voted at all. Right. Like, you saw what he did this year with this unit, all the guys in and out the lineup, and you think he's not even deserved to be a vote for assistant coach of the year. Like, okay.
He's definitely hearing it, because he even said the other day, they were like, do you think you should get another shot at head coaching? He's like, well, of course, I'd love to be a head coach again. He's like, but it's also kind of nice going to the Super Bowl every year and being in this position that we are. So I can't complain too much. So yeah, it probably, he's a seasoned pro. He's been doing this for so long, and he's a veteran that whatever noise is out there, he hears it. But at the end of the day, he goes, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I'm paid to do, and I'm going to be the best at it, awards or not. I think Andy's the same way. And that's why, again, I think everything coming into this week is you can see these are 2 completely different ran franchises. I think John Lynch is a fantastic GM. I think the 49ers have a really solid franchise as a whole. We've heard from 49ers fans that they're kind of iffy on Jed York, their their owner. But as a whole, you can just see that these franchises are run so differently. They might both be the best of the best on each side of the conference, but there's a distinct difference between how Andy Reid and his coaching staff functions throughout the week, all the way from Brett Veach down to the last guy on the team, to the equipment managers, all that. They just run at a much higher efficient level operation than I think anybody out there. And I think this is the week where it's not getting the recognition nationally, but I think this is a week where you're really seeing the way they prepare and focus in on what they do for their process. I think that's going to play such a huge advantage. I mean, again, you're giving Spags 2 weeks to figure out how to slow down Christian McCaffrey. He might not completely slow him down, but you're telling me there's no chance he goes out there and figures out how to disrupt that offense and make things frustrating for him. We've seen all year that if he gets a little bit of time to figure out the other team, it might not happen in the first quarter, but what has happened every single game for the past 7 weeks? Team gets started out great, and then they're shut down for basically 3 quarters after that. And I don't see that being any different.
No, absolutely. I expect everybody on defense to be locked in even more, just because we've seen the disrespect for Snead, obviously for Spags as well. They wore the shirts last week in Baltimore. So, and for him not to be on that ballot, all the players saw it. They're going to talk about it in the locker room. Like, our coach didn't even get a vote, and we all know he thinks he's one of the best DCs in the league. So I expect them to come out, like you said, with their hair on fire on Sunday, defensively for sure. And that's the reason why I have the most confidence, because in the past, I didn't know how we were going to get stops. I knew we were going to score, but now in this game, we all expect this defense to play well to get stops. And we all know if we get turnovers off Brock Purdy, it could be a long day for Kyle Shanahan and that offense for sure.
For sure. And Keegan, I want to touch, you brought up Christian McCaffrey. That seems to be the number one thing people are talking about. Guys, how worried are you about this Chiefs run game? Because just my initial thoughts is it will hurt, especially if the Chiefs are down late. But very few teams have beaten Patrick Mahomes because they run the ball well.
And mainly because, when you're looking at, for me, in my opinion, as a guy who played ball, the hardest run game to stop is when the quarterback is involved. Obviously, I'm not trying to discredit what the Niners do. They're still a great running football team. But I think you would ask anybody who's actually played the game or watched that at a high level, when you involve the quarterback in the run game, you get an extra blocker. Now we know Brock Purdy. I'm not trying to discredit Brock Purdy. He's a great quarterback. He's had a great year. He's not athletic enough to involve him in the run game. So anytime he hands the ball off, he's handing it off. For the last 2 weeks, they've had to worry about, is Josh Allen going to keep it? Is Lamar Jackson going to keep it? Now when he gets that ball and he hands it off, he's handing it off. So as a defender on backside, obviously you have to contain and squeeze down, but when he gives that ball away, he's giving it away to 23. He's still a great player. You have to stop CNC no matter what. And Trent Williams is arguably the best blocking tackle in the league. But it's a different type of gap scheme and run scheme when you realize the quarterback is not a threat to be involved in the run game. It's not easy. I'm just saying it's easier when you're trying to prepare on a week-to-week basis for sure.
Yeah, and CMC, I mean, he in my opinion, he's the most talented running back in the league. He had an impressive year, won offensive player of the year, of course, had just a dominant year for the most part.
Rightfully so.
And he's incredibly talented. And I think we talked about this, we said this against the Ravens, if the line sets the edge and can contain Lamar Jackson, they were going to have success. Similar fashion here. We've got the right pieces. I mean, Drew Tranquil has been incredible in that running back coverage and coming off the line. Willie Gay, we know, is one of the quickest linebackers in the league side to side. Leo Chenal's got just downhill speed and aggression. So I think we've got the pieces to do what we can to slow him down. I think McCaffrey's going to, I mean, if we talked about this, I don't know if we talked about this in our legacy talk or if this was just off air, Chris, but we said we were looking back at some of the box scores from throughout the year, and the teams that did the best against the Chiefs and actually beat them consistently ran the ball throughout the whole game.
The whole game.
And we talked about Baltimore. They had less than 20 carries. A team that averages north of 20 carries almost every single game. We forced them to change their offensive play style. So I think McCaffrey's going to have a huge first half for sure. But I think, the Chiefs are going to do what they need to offensively to put points up. And you can't just run the ball 25 times for 200 yards and score touchdowns all the time. So I feel pretty good with the pieces we have. I mean, I think McCaffrey's going to get a lot of different guys that look at him. I think we're going to see at times where, they double up and Justin Reed's kind of playing a spy role coming up close to the line. L'Jarius Sneed coming off of a of a blitz, but it's like a run blitz instead of a typical pass blitz. So I just think we have the right pieces to line up well to where after the rhythm of the game gets going and they start figuring out to do the adjustments. I mean, who's better this year in the NFL defensively than Spags with adjustments? Even like, I mean, everyone talked about the Ravens and the Bills game. Oh, the Chiefs got crushed in the first quarter running the ball. Okay, great. What happened the rest of the game?
Nothing.
Their offense didn't do anything. So I think I said this on that 49ers podcast too. I think the 49ers need to run the ball a lot to keep the game honest. Because I think if they're in more running situations, that's more advantageous to them against our defense. Our defense does what they do best and put them in passing situations. That's where we shine the best because we've got the best man coverage in the league. So I'm very curious to see how long the 49ers can stick to that run game and play action game with McCaffrey. But he's definitely got to be a concern because he's one of the most talented offensive weapons in the league. But Tyreek Hill was also that, and Tyreek Hill did nothing twice against us. One catch.
One play, yeah.
I don't expect them really to be that aggressive. Like they're gonna, and I said this like when I was looking at the lines for Christian McCaffrey's rush attempts, it was at like 18.5. And I said like if you want to win this game, he has to go over that number. Because if he stays under, you want to pass the ball more. Brock Purdy's pass attempts rarely go over 30, kind of similar to what we said about Lamar. If he's throwing the ball over 30 times, I don't think Purdy wants to live in that world. Because then Kyle has to get pass happy. Purdy could be prone to interceptions. He gets turnovers, and the Chiefs will be favored, and they can get the ball back and go win the game. But honestly, like Chris said, I don't know why teams get in their head, we're just going to run the ball on the Chiefs. You're not going to run the ball for 4 quarters and beat Patrick Mahomes. But you know he's going to score eventually. Your defense can be great all you want. And I'm not trying to disrespect the Niners, but you just let Jared Goff and Jordan Love both throw for like almost 300 yards on your head. Jordan Love did. I'm sorry. He did throw for 300 yards. I think Goff got close. I think he got to like 280. And he had like 4 drops in that game. So he would have cleared that 300 if they would have caught the ball in the second half. But to think that you let those quarterbacks get off and now you have to go against the best quarterback in football, like Chris said, I don't see like where this confidence is coming from their defense. Like it's a good group and they have players up front that can make plays. But in my opinion, they just stopped one of the best passing attacks in the league with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So to think they're going to struggle, that's what I'm hearing from some of their fans this week against the Niners. I don't know where this struggle is going to come from. This defense has been balling the entire year. And one of their fans, I got to show y'all this tweet. I'm going to DM it to you after the show. He told me who's going to cover Brandon Ayuk. I laughed so hard. And he was dead serious with me. He did. He said, bro, who's going to cover BA? I'm like, are you serious? He was dead. I was like, bro, you joking or trolling? He's like, no, I'm dead serious. Who's going to cover him? I'm like, you do know Snead has seen every all-pro receiver in the league this year, right? He's like, yeah, but how's he going to cover Brandon Ayuk? I said, Jesus Christ. So for you, when you say like people don't know Snead's name or McDuffie's
they still
name,
don't.
They really don't. They don't respect him enough for what he's done, and that's what goes along with my point. Snead, McDuffie, Willie Gay, Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, Steve Spagnuolo. The whole defense, in my opinion, this week has not been getting enough respect for how good a job they've done this year. And the reason I'm giving them their flowers even more than they should get is because the offense was bad this year. It was really bad during the regular season. We were awful compared to Chiefs standards. And the defense had to overcome that, and they had to overcome a lot of new guys coming to the team. And they were still good with Charles Omenihu missing 7 games, Chris Jones missing the opener, Willie Gay in and out the lineup, Drew Tranquil. All these guys are missing games, and they still figured out a way to be arguably the best defense in football, in my opinion. So to think that the Niners are going to come in and overwhelm Steve Spagnuolo, I just think it's hilarious to me. Like, and I know they have all the weapons, and respect to Debo and George Kittle and CMC. It's a great crew. Like, it's probably the best set of weapons we've seen during this playoff run. But to think that Steve Spagnuolo is going to get overwhelmed, I just think it's laughable at this point, honestly. I'm ready for the game. I'm ready for the game now.
Dude, it just doesn't make any sense. This is like, because like rushing yards, if you go back and look, like the Raiders and have 2 of the biggest rushing against the Chiefs this year, and it's like, okay, well,
we turned the ball over twice in 30 seconds.
Josh Jacobs broke off a 75-yarder. Like, okay, yeah, he's gonna have a lot. And then they did break off that one loss at the
Zamir White
end, and on the Christmas game. Like Palmer hit a 50-yarder. Like, okay, so the Chiefs may
get a long run.
Yeah, the Chiefs may be susceptible to a long run, but can you? The thing that is like, okay, regardless of how good at running the ball you're going to be, there are going to be multiple times throughout the game where, okay, maybe you call a play action pass on first down, doesn't get anything. You rush it for 2 yards. Now you're 3rd and 8, or you do 2 straight runs. Now it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6. Like that's going to happen a number of times, even if you're rushing the ball well. Can this quarterback make a play against this secondary? Against Steve Spagnuolo?
That's the real question.
Not for 4 quarters.
Not for 4 quarters. No. Like McCaffrey's going to have to get 5 yards every carry.
And that's really what the world they live. They think that's reality. I'm like, I know the Chiefs defense isn't like world beaters, but you truly think you're going to average like 5 yards a carry for the entire game, not the first half, not the first quarter like we've seen, for an entire game. He's going to do that for a whole game.
Here's the thing. He can average 5 yards a carry, but it has to be every down. Like, if he breaks off a 15-yarder, that's going to bring up the average, but then he's going to have 2, and then Brock Purdy's got to make a play. Like, that's my thing. Like, McCaffrey can average 6 yards a carry. That's fine. But he's going to have to actually get 4 to 5 every single rush in order for the Brock Purdy to have to do limited.
Chris, that's my thing. If it gets to halftime, you were averaging 5 yards a carry. You're not doing that in the second half.
Yeah.
You're just not. Josh Allen had like 70 yards of rushing at halftime. What do you have in the second half? Like 15?
Yeah.
James Cook was having a good game second half. I think the total for the Bills second half, they had 30 yards rushing total. And they were killing us in the run game first half. That's my point. You're going to have to throw the ball to win the game. And I'm not saying like Purdy can't throw the ball, but like you guys said, it gets this secondary, it gets these corners indoors with 2 weeks to prepare. I don't see how you're going to stop this secondary in the second half of the game. I just don't see it.
I don't either. I mean, and that's the one thing that's worrying me the most about is like, as you just look at everything from where the money is, from how these teams aligned, it's like it's all pointing Chiefs, and that's the only worry I have is how much it's pointing at Kansas.
How much is pointing?
I mean, it's definitely different because we haven't been this favored much since like the Bengals game.
But we're not technically favored.
We're not even the favorite.
The money, like the Chiefs are 1.5 point dogs.
Yeah, all the money's on the Chiefs.
80% of the money is on the Chiefs.
That's what I'm saying. Have we had this much money bet on us since like what? I know the Eagles game we weren't bet this much favored as far as money spread wise. I think it probably was Cincinnati. I know it wasn't the Buffalo game, so it had to be Cincinnati.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is like up to till 2 or 3 days ago. I mean, the spread really hasn't changed much. It's been 2.5, 2.5.
Yeah, same thing.
Up until a few days ago, the Chiefs were still, even as the underdog, were still minus money. They've now, at least on FanDuel as of today on Friday, they are now plus money on the money line. But all week it was, and maybe that's because the way the money has come in and shifted, but all week the Chiefs were still minus money despite being a 2-point underdog, which I thought was kind of interesting to see that. But yeah, now they're plus money. So you're telling me throwing a bunch down on the Chiefs right now at plus 110 is not a smart bet as a 2.5-point underdog?
All this money coming in on the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are still plus money as the underdog. That's why I'm getting like, I get the money's coming in, but I'm like, clearly it's not enough to sway, because if it was, it would be Chiefs favored or even like Chiefs minus money, but they're still plus money for most of this week. So,
right. And it may very well, it may close, 1.5 by the time we get to kickoff with the way the money's shifting, but that may just be because Vegas wants to move the lines enough to try and get some action the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we'll see. It just the whole thing has just been mind blowing to me. Like it just slowly building.
I mean, you could disrespect the receivers if you think Joe Tooney being out's a big deal. I get
it's not.
But, so for us, we know Allegre's started, but they feel like it's just this ginormous drop off with Joe Tooney from Allegre. And Joe Tooney's an All Pro. I'm not trying to discredit what he done, but I just keep reiterating this: the disrespect. This defense still is not getting their flowers what they've done this year. And he's seen Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Diggs, Jamar Chase. It doesn't matter. Any receiver this DB group has seen, they've done their job and beyond that. And for them still not to give Coach Dave Merritt first and foremost, Steve Spagnuolo, Joe Cullen, all the guys on the defensive staff not getting enough respect. I think they come out and have like one of the game in their lives on Sunday. Honestly,
I will say this: it would not surprise me if the game started out. Chiefs win the kickoff, they defer.
Yep.
49ers go down and score right away. First drive of the game, they go down and score. Chiefs get the ball back, 3 and out. 49ers get the ball back, kick a field goal, it's 10-0. Chiefs score a field goal, maybe even we get into halftime, the Chiefs are struggling. I could see that happening. But then I don't see how the 49ers stop the Chiefs going to the second half, and I don't see how the defense gives up 10 points right away and then just keeps doing this. Like I could see this script kind of being, Chiefs go down early like they have been.
Waiver.
49ers have all the momentum, but then what's going to happen? Well, Jarius Sneed pops off a big time sack. Chris Jones gets a strip sack fumble. Karlaftis, bursts up McCaffrey on a play that could have gone for 15 yards, but it ends up as a loss. And the momentum shifts right back. And then Mahomes does an 8-9 minute drive. Kelsey in the end zone, Chiefs, tie it up 10-10 at halftime going into the second half with all the momentum. Spags makes his adjustments. The 49ers come out pressing too much, force themselves into bad situations, and then we just slowly build, even if we're not scoring touchdowns, because I could still see that being an issue. I still see us marching down the field, getting a few field goals up, and just controlling the game in the second half. So that's why I know we're going to talk about bets in another episode too. But to me, this the line should continuously go down. I just don't see how this game is going to be high scoring unless teams get some big breakaway plays or massive turnover shifts, because both teams are disciplined enough defensively to slow down the other team. I think we might see a ton of yardage in this game, but I just keep feeling like our defense is going to do what they've been doing, and there's nothing on tape to suggest otherwise.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
No, for sure. So I think we're going to get into X factors and score predictions here in a second, but I want to take a little segue here real quick, have a little more fun because it is Super Bowl week. Everyone's always doing. CJ, I'm going to start with you, man, because what is your perfect spread at a Super Bowl party? Like when you walk in, what do you want to see? Maybe top 3 items or just, your favorites.
Top 3 items at a Super Bowl watch party.
Like, what does it have to have?
I'm definitely not putting a Travis Kelce jersey underneath a fountain like that Taylor Swifty girl did in her TikTok. That was so disrespectful. She put a jersey underneath the fountain. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you just put a towel down or a Chiefs towel? That was funny. Maybe she was doing it for the picture or whatever. Yeah. So my top 3 items that I would have at a Super Bowl watch party: wings for sure. Wings have to be on the menu. I don't 100%. Care what flavor. I'm not picky, but there has to be some type of buffalo wing, barbecue wing. There has to be some kind of wings. Another item, obviously good beverages for sure. But the second I would pick either what they call them, little smokies or meatballs. Either one. I know they're kind of like in that same type of like finger foods, something in that area. Something you can just pick up and go. Everybody likes it. And the third one I would say, this is a staple at every event: buffalo chicken dip. That's like a staple. Everybody has it. Everybody makes it. Potlucks, it's like the number one hit. It's easy. Everybody likes it with normal tortilla chips, Doritos, or Rotel, whichever one you prefer. Some type of like dip where like people can get the chips out. But like those are the 3 items I have to have at a Super Bowl watch party for sure.
Yeah, Super Bowl spreads are a lot of fun. And those of you watching later, would love for you guys to hit us up in the comment section. Let us know what your favorite Super Bowl spreads are too, because maybe we'll get some inspiration from you guys for our own spreads, or we can give you some inspiration. But for me, just like CJ said, it's got to have chicken wings. To me, there's 2 things. If National Championship Final Four weekend and Super Bowl has to include chicken wings for me. So I will be doing wings, of course, and usually for the Super Bowl, I'll do half buffalo, half barbecue. So I have a little bit of hot, a little bit of sweet. Always love a good dip, queso dip. This year we're going to go a little different. I make a mean guacamole dip. So I'm going to be making some guac sundae. And then I'm also I wanted to do Little Smokies, but the last time I did them for a Chiefs game, they just did not turn out very well. So this time I'm going to do pigs in a blanket. And then use those with I'm going to do a little dipping sauce to go with them.
There you go.
Those are probably my go-tos. And then for sure, Doritos. Got to have Doritos.
Absolutely.
Nacho cheese, original Doritos. Freaking eat the entire bag all day. I don't care. It's just constantly on the plate. I'll even use that for the queso dip. But yeah, Doritos for sure. And I think the Doritos for me is because Doritos had some of the best Super Bowl commercials for the longest time. Now commercials have that's another topic. Super Bowl commercials. I feel like it's
what brand is gonna have the best commercial? That's cool. We should have done that.
That's my spread. And then I'm not a big drinker, but I love sweet tea, so I would probably have some sweet tea as part of mine. Or and I also could do some Gatorade too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Chris, what's yours?
I'm basic. Like I have to have Rotel. I will eat the entire bucket. Like
Rotel.
I don't have any commitments to like. There may be a couple buddies coming over, but I don't really need. I didn't need anyone coming over, but a couple guys are invited. I don't care if they don't show up. I'm making 2 full things of Rotel. I may eat the whole damn thing by myself.
Is it Velveeta and Rotel for you?
What?
You've been real cheese, real
Velveeta. Yeah, it's Velveeta. You got to have scoops, Frito scoops, and Tostitos scoops, so you can mix and match. Yep. A little bit of different crunch on each bite. Like,
are you a Doritos with your Rotel guy?
I'm not a Doritos with my Rotel guy because I like the cheese that much. I need just more of that corn shit, man, to where I can really get that cheese in Rotel. Like, sometimes I'll add meat to it. Depends on what else the spread is. If I got the Smokies, if I got the wings, maybe I'll hold off on the meat. But if I'm a little lacking, throw a pound of hamburger in there and really get it going. Yeah. But the other thing I learned that I have to have is I'm a beer drinker, so I will drink light beer so I can keep putting them away without consequences throughout the game. I'm not going to be drinking IPAs during a football game. But like, you have to have a hard liquor. I learned that for the Bucks game. because we were supposed to go to a Super Bowl party. You remember it was icy in KC that year.
It was so cold that year.
So we didn't go anywhere, and she came down with COVID, so she passed out and was in the. So I sat in the chair by myself watching the Chiefs get spanked,
beat down,
and all we had just like one shot worth of Crown left in our fridge, and I realized at that point I was like, for better or worse, whether it's to celebrate or for disappointment, because last year we did a couple shots of tequila after they won. But like you have to have that hard liquor for after the fact, whether it's for good or bad. So that's another thing that you have to have.
No, absolutely. You got to get good shots after you win for sure.
But yeah, so a little fun with Super Bowl week. Again, let us know if you got anything you have to have at your Super Bowl party. But let's get back to the game, and I want to start we do X factors. Last time we talked about this, you guys cheated on me a little bit and picked the whole damn time. So
pick two at the same time.
Each of you pick one on offense and one on defense. And I will remind you, even though you didn't leave me much on the pool, Justin Reed balled out, and that was my guy from the start. So
Jay Reed
last week. I'm going a little different this week, but whoever wants to kick it off.
Defensive X factor. It's kind of been my same theme all week, and it's another one this week. Willie Gay, like he's been one of our most important players the last 4 weeks of the season. Obviously, he didn't get to play last week because of the neck injury. I know he's chomping at the bit to get out there, but like I said on multiple shows in our last episode, the athleticism of the quarterback has went down the last couple of weeks. It went from Tua, then it went from Josh to Lamar Jackson, then you're going back down to Brock Purdy. So not to say Brock Purdy isn't an athlete, but obviously he's not.
Hey, on the level he ran a lot last time out. He did a couple big runs.
From a defensive standpoint, he's not Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen type. He can get out there and extend the play and run for a couple first downs if he needs to. But the pressure that an athletic quarterback like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, the pressure puts on you is like enormous because they make you wrong all the time. Like, hey, you have to spy him, keep him you're rushing. Like I said in the last episode, you're rushing to contain. We're not rushing to sack. This week, I think you can truly get back to rushing the sack because Brock Purdy is a decent athlete, but he's not going to run away from you. Like if there's a situation where George Karlaftis is trying to chase him down, Mike Dana, Chris Jones, they'll get to him compared to trying to run around and sack a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, even though we got 4 sacks off Lamar, which is still crazy in my book because he's one of the hardest guys to get on the ground. So Willie Gay is my X factor just because.
We still missed 3 sacks on him.
So we should have had 7, which is crazy. If they would have told you that going into the game, I would have thought you were 7 sacks on Lamar. That's a crazy.
And they would have only scored 3 points.
If we get 4 sacks on Brock Purdy, it may get ugly for them, honestly. If we get 4 sacks on him, so especially if George Karlaftis is getting in the box, obviously Chris Jones is going to get his pressure, and then if we get some of the young guys involved, maybe like I don't know if Felix may get back there and get a QB pressure, or maybe if we involve other guys like Malik Herring. But if the main guys, George, Dana, and Chris, are doing their thing and they get back home, I think it'll be a long day for him. So Willie Gay off the edge, Willie Gay with his blitz packages, his athleticism, you can line him up in the box, on the edge, if you want to put him out there in the slot when we go 3-backer sets. Willie Gay's really our joker. He plays everywhere. And his athleticism is enormous because he's a great tackler. He's a great athlete, like Keegan said earlier. And his athleticism was missed last week. So him being on the field would be a huge boost to his defense. So that's my defensive X factor for sure.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on. I think the Ravens game. I know I said a couple, but Karlaftis was my guy on the defensive line, being the X factor, and I thought he actually played a pretty good game. This week, I want to go defensive line again, but I think the way the game's going to break out, Purdy's going to have to throw, and I kind of feel like Mike Edwards could have a big moment. He's a big play kind of guy. He finds himself in the right position. And I think as good as McDuffie and Snead have been, that maybe they try to find the weakness somewhere else. And I think they're going to try and pick guys. I think they're going to try and pick Kittle over the top quite a bit. And I could just see Mike Edwards coming up with a big tip pass that leads to an interception, or he gets a pick himself, or just a monster tackle on a big 3rd down or something. So I'm going to go defensive guy, Mike Edwards.
Okay, I like it. I am cheating this week since you guys cheated last week.
You said I'm cheating
because I'm picking DB5. I think if you got Snead, McDuffie, Edwards, and Reed are going to be out there 98 to 100% of the snaps. Now they kind of rotate depending on if they go to 3 safeties with Connor or Watson and Williams, who's out there.
Yeah.
Those guys, whichever one is on the field on those nickel sets more often, is who's my number one guy, because these Niner receivers are really good at blocking, and we all sit here and talk about the run game. So, you're going to be able to get a tackle and get to the outside and make a play. Because I trust all 3 of those guys to tackle. I think that's been proven. I think we're biggest supporter this show is on the DBs being able to tackle. But those guys are going to be huge because I think you have a lot of trust in the other 4. It's if those 3 young guys, all 4th or late round picks that's in their 1st or 2nd year, if they can make plays in the passing game and in the run game, I think that's going to go a long way in shutting this
absolutely.
49ers defense down.
I love that Mike Edwards pick. As far as if they really did pick on him, Keegan, I think that would be a mistake. I mean, you don't want to throw at the all-pro guys and Snead and McDuffie, but who has the most picks on this team? Isn't it Mike?
Yep.
So I mean, if that's the guy you're going to throw at, that's not a bad wager to put on. I think I got Mike Edwards anytime interception at like plus 500, which is still crazy to me, but that's great value, especially over the middle of the field. That's where most of Purdy's picks are thrown, in between the hashes, right? And that's where he plays.
He's also not a bad one to sprinkle a little bit on for MVP.
Yeah.
If it's a low-scoring game and he has a big pick, or something like that, it's probably not likely, but it's like plus 2,500 or something like that.
Yeah, but the linebacker for the Seahawks that won it a couple of years ago because of his pick 6, like
Malcolm Brown.
Bolton would have won it last year if that second play.
If he would have got that second scoop,
right? So like, it's not worth $1 or $2 because of the odds, like, or more depending on how much money you're gambling. But like,
exactly. No, for sure. Those are both good odds. And
but no, Watson and Williams could be big. I mean, the 49ers are a physical offense. Obviously, we know Deebo Samuel. It's not just one guy that's going to bring him down. It's going to have to be people playing physical. But Josh Williams and Jalen Watson, like, they're good at that. They play physical. They're bigger corners. They've got size and speed and strength. So that's not a bad pickup there. One of those 3 guys having a big game because they're going to get matched up against Deebo from time to time. Ayuk time to time. Juwan Jennings, even maybe up against Kittle. So those guys are primed for a potentially big game too, because they're going to get picked on at some point.
Right. And they split up the snaps like really evenly. Last week, Connor got 25, Joshua got 25, and Jalen got 21.
So they all were kind of rotated.
So, and all 43, and 36%. Now, obviously, some of those are in 4 quarter sets. I'm losing my mind. In dime formations when multiple of them are out there.
Big dime.
Yeah, so who we got on offense? So it's limited on offense. I think there's really only 3.
I mean, we know the recipe is 4-10-87.
Yeah, like I don't really know. I don't even
baby.
know if I really want to talk about offensive one because
how about this?
Of the snaps to take go to those 3, the big 3.
So let's think outside the box for a moment here. Guy that needs to have a huge day, Juwan Taylor.
Okay. Because
he's got a lot of because he's a guy that's had the most, I'd say, offensively, the guy that's gotten a lot of talk this week from the 49ers because of the penalties and the hold and all that. But he's been really solid the last couple of weeks. So he has a huge game and sets the tone and keeps Mahomes upright on that side of the ball. Obviously, I mean, who knows what happens on the other side? But if he plays a clean game, I mean, I can't think of many games this year where a clean game from Juwan Taylor was bad news for the Chiefs. So if he has a big game, he could be an X factor of sorts in controlling the offensive play style.
No, absolutely. That game last week, that throw on 4th down where Trav got open and Pat was holding the ball for like 20 seconds. Did y'all watch Juwan Taylor on that play? I don't think he got close to Pat at all. Yeah. I was watching the game with my friend and I was looking at him. I kept screaming, pocket. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, bro, are you looking at this pocket right now? Nobody's even close to Pat. Yeah. If you would have went into that game and told me he's going to have a play where he has 8 seconds to throw the ball, I would have thought you were drunk the way this O-line is played. So the fact that we were able to do that with a team that led the league in sacks, and obviously Nick Bosa and Chase Young, and I don't know if this is true. Have y'all heard this? Somebody told me Chase Young probably, I don't know if this is true, he may not even start or be heavy as in the rotation.
He's been kind of for lack of better word,
a downslope.
There's plenty of other words, but I'm going to call him a bum since he's been traded.
Since they traded him, yeah, he hasn't been playing that well. I heard some guys on radio say he may have even got benched this week. So I don't know if that's true or not, but the fact that he hasn't been playing as well as we thought have been when he got traded to play with Nick Bosa after the trade deadline is interesting. So, no, Juwan Taylor is a great pick because the O-line has been playing flawlessly last week when they get the team that led the league in sacks at home, on the road in that environment. For them to keep Pat clean, I think that was a flawless job, and they don't get enough praise as much as O-line should because when your name's not being called, that's a good thing. But my X factor would be, I mean, it's kind of really, I mean, like it's the same 3. Like it's either Noah, Justin, or MVS. Whoever gets that 1 to 2 catches a game, that's the guy that's going to be the X factor. Because we know 14 and 87 is the recipe, like Keegan said. So whoever is the one other guy that's going to get Whoever gets 3 targets out of those 3 guys, because one of those guys is going to get some opportunity to make a play because they're going to double team Trav and Rasheed at times. So one of those guys is going to have a one-on-one, and they're going to have to win. So whoever is that guy, kind of like what Chris said, one of those guys is going to make a play, and you have to be that guy to be ready for the moment for sure.
Yeah, that's why I simplified it, because I was going to just say MVS just because he's the one that has been doing it in the last 2 games. But again, it could very well be Justin Watson. I don't know if Noah Gray can ever be an X factor. He's just got to make the 2 plays that they draw up for.
If one of those plays is a touchdown or something, that
right.
Big time third down.
You know what?
But hey, Jarrett McKinnon might be back.
Yeah, if Jet plays, that'd be good. He may sneak out in the flat.
Right. I just don't feel like, I don't know. It's going to be hard, like, even if we were under the impression Jet was going to play, to pick him after coming off the injury.
Going against his old team.
Yeah, barely, though. I mean.
Yeah, he was there but didn't play because he was hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt a lot. So, like, I don't know. I think
he's back for, like, break the glass in case of emergency situations. Literally only, like, there. I mean, he knows what to do, but you don't really have to use him unless, like, something happens.
To have it, I don't know. I really don't want Tony or Sky out there.
Yeah, I think those guys are the same thing. They're only there for, like, because like Bengals game and the AFC Championship game last year when 4 of our receivers went down. So you need to have guys active in case something happens. I know we don't want them to play in this moment, but if something does happen, you need to have guys that have ran the system before and be ready, rather than bringing up practice squad guys or something. So just in case of emergency, I don't think they'll get reps like most people think they are, but they're active in case of emergencies. People, they're not there just to play. They're there in case something happens. Just like Jet, we know Wanya Morris is going to be our emergency tackle if anything happens, especially since obviously Don and John and Jawan have played well. And then Nick Allegretti's been our rotational guy. Who's the other lineman you think will be active? Since if we have like those 6, who's going to be like the 7th guy to be?
I know we like to nerd out on here, but I don't know if too many people are worrying about that.
You never know, guys.
Well, you said it earlier. It's probably Lucas Niang because Wanya Morris. Man, I'm trying because he hasn't really had
another interior guy. So
because Allegretti's now your interior. I think we said it off. I don't remember if Austin Ryder's currently on the practice squad. Man, I'll have to look this up real quick. Keep talking. Let me look.
I hope it's not something that we ever have to worry about in this game. And we'll learn about it then. We will learn about it then. I just hope Kadarius has been killing it on the scout team as Debo, just like Sam Darnold's been killing it as Patrick Mahomes on the scout team.
Sam Darnold been being Mahomes. He's running around.
Hey, you know what? I know we sit here and laugh because the actual on the field products are for Tony and Darnold are not the same. But like if you're in a practice setting, both of those dudes are perfect. Like there are
definitely Austin Ryder.
Okay, definitely Austin
or
Ryder.
Darian Kennard, but probably Austin Ryder.
Okay, so there are a lot of teams though that don't even have guys with similar skill sets. Like we could talk about Sam Darnold's on the field play. His skill set is very similar to Mahomes in a practice squad setting. We can talk about Kadarius Toney on the field. His skill set in a practice squad setting is very similar to Deebo Samuel. So I mean, that's kind of nice for
he's a carbon copy. Literally, what you want: an athlete, a kid that can play in the backfield or play outside. Yeah. Like, there's no better guy to give you a look in a Deebo week than Kadarius Toney. That's literally what you want. So absolutely.
I'm going to get a lot of hate for the Sam Darnold thing, but I think it's true.
Sam Darnold is Patrick Mahomes.
Just to give him a look.
Play style.
If you watch Sam Darnold's highlight tapes, which is about 30 seconds, he looks a little Mahomey in those 30 seconds.
He has some throws that look good. He can give him a good look. That's all you need.
Until he starts seeing those ghosts.
Start seeing those ghosts.
Ghosts. He's like, oh, shoot. He don't see ghosts. They're probably telling him, don't touch Sam this week. You don't need him seeing ghosts.
Right. But all right, let's wrap it up. Score predictions. We're all going to be biased. I know we're all picking the Chiefs. Is there too many things are pointing? What we got score wise?
I think it's a yard burner. I think it's a low scoring game for sure, back and forth. I'm gonna go Chiefs 23, Niners 20.
I got Chiefs 23, Niners 17.
I was leaning that way too. I was like,
everyone's on 23. I'm gonna say 27-14.
Ooh,
I also like that.
I don't think the Niners
double-digit win. Wow,
it's just and
they're
it's
gonna hate us.
Hey, it was a double-digit win last time, and the Chiefs were down most of the game.
They're hate us if that happens.
I think the main reasoning for my thinking is I don't think the Niners are going to trust Moody. I think they've tried. I think that
they'll be more aggressive.
Unless it's a 35-yarder because it's 3rd and 9 from the 20. I don't think they're 4th and 9 from the 20. I don't think they're kicking. So, meanwhile, the Chiefs have the most, again, with the disrespect, the most disrespected kicker in the league because he wasn't even first or second team All-Pro.
Another
Chiefs
guy that got
minus 12 and a
disrespected.
half. Chiefs minus 12 and a half is plus 560.
I wouldn't put money on it.
I don't know.
Chris said I wouldn't put money.
I wouldn't put money on it, but like, there's just too many things pointing that were, I don't know, man. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think the only worry I still have is even in that Baltimore game. I mean, we were the better team for the entire game, and the Chiefs still only scored 17.
This defense isn't as good. As Niners defense is not as good.
Not nearly as good as what we've seen last week. It's like and it's crazy because like the names people want to talk about, but I'm like, your defense isn't better than Baltimore's. So how is this like a bigger challenge for Mahomes?
They don't have
indoors.
Yeah, neutral site.
They don't have safeties or CB or a cornerback too.
They don't.
I mean, they do. Like some of those guys have made plays, but you heard about when we went on that podcast with the Niners. Like they talked about two of their guys that they have a love-hate relationship with because sometimes they make plays and sometimes they don't. Well, against Patrick Mahomes, I'm betting more. They're more on the side of they won't.
Yeah, and we're over here with our 4th and 5th string corners feeling fantastic about because of
we used to beat them talking about I don't know if our CB2 can even hold up. We had Sean Smith and Rashad Breeland and Rashad Fenton. Stevie Nelson. We used to beat them talking about this can this guy hold up? Now we know we have 2 All-Pro corners. We haven't had this in forever, and that's why I'm at peace going into this game because I know we can get stops. In the years past in Super Bowls and big games, I'm like, I don't know how our defense is going to play to hold the other team down. Now I know if it's a 7-0 game or if it's a 10-7 game, like Keegan said, I know Spags is going to do his job. And if you get 15 the ball back, who's worried about 15 with the ball in his hands? So we know what time it is.
Everyone on the other team is worried when 15 has the ball in his hands.
That's what we want. I want all the and the Keegan, like that scenario you said, like the Niners getting up and then Chiefs have to rally back. That low key would be sweeter because obviously you want to play with a lead and keep it, but all the pressure being on Kyle Shanahan, he's done nothing but do what in big moments? Crack.
Spoil it away.
If the pressure's on him again with Brock Purdy, who, to be honest, I know people hate the stat of like, because they used to do this to Mahomes, the most turnover-worthy plays. In the last 2 weeks, Brock Purdy could have had 4 interceptions in 8 quarters of football. So if you even throw 2 in with this secondary and the way we've gotten the ball back and we've been getting strip sacks and fumbles, if you have 1 turnover, 2 turnovers with this defense, it's going to be a long day for you, honestly, especially the way we've been running the football.
It will be exciting to see for sure. Any other thoughts before we get out of here, guys?
I mean, there's plenty to talk about. We're going to try and get one more episode out after this to do some Super Bowl bets, from prop bets to some of the fun, wonky stuff. Gatorade.
How long will the national anthem be?
The national anthem.
Take the over.
They say she's
always
long
take the over. Yeah.
Take the over on Reba.
So yeah, we'll hopefully get some more of that out there for everybody else.
I had a coworker that didn't, and she's like 27 years old that never heard of Reba, and I'm like, you're not even like, I get if you're like 18, but like,
you could see her face and know who she is.
Yeah, you never heard of Reba?
Never seen this person.
You don't have to
before?
be a country music fan to know.
She's been in like multiple movies, commercials, like
right.
Shows.
Like, yeah, she's been around everything for a minute. Like I don't know, it was funny, but
how about that? Let's last thing. Let's end with because CJ said earlier, company to have the best commercial.
Company to have the best. Pepsi. Or the NFL, whoever. Like, well, can we pick the NFL? Does that count? Like NFL, they have their.
Yeah, I don't know. They always have a good one.
The NFL like commercial, like the one last year with the football, and they were like tossing around to each other. I'll probably pick the NFL. I'll probably pick the NFL to have the best commercial.
I think Tide's going to repeat. I really enjoyed the Tide one, like because it was a running gag throughout the whole. So I'm going Tide. I'm going to say they're repeating.
I'm going to go with the NFL.
Gag.
It could end up being Gronk's kick,
but it was so bad last year.
Kick.
I
don't know how you can top that. It was the bar.
And I just miss the old days of the E-Trade baby, the Clydesdales, the fantastic
caveman with Geico,
the caveman.
There
probably will be. I bet there will be.
He's slowly creeping back.
There will be. There may be a good Geico one.
My guess is it's going to be some sort of streaming service.
Ooh.
Like Amazon will probably get one, yeah.
Something.
Apple TV or something, yeah. I'm betting on the NFL.
All the money they brought in from
Peacock, yeah.
Well, if you remember,
NFL
the last time the Chiefs and 49ers were in the Super Bowl, the big commercial was the preview for Avengers Endgame, which
there's no big movie this year.
It doesn't have that this year, but so that's why I keep thinking it's going to be something streaming service because that's just where all the attention's going now is
a big TV show.
NCAA. Ooh, NCAA.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be something.
They've dropped
sporty.
a small trailer, but maybe they do that.
You know who it's gonna be? It's gonna be one of the sports books companies, FanDuel,
Oh, yeah.
DraftKings. There's
It's coming.
all the betting we've been doing this year. It's gonna be one of the sports books. Watch.
It's gonna be full of like 5 or 10 celebrities, all
They're
Josh
all like,
and
"Oh, my
Matt
parlay missed," and they're gonna troll
DraftKings
NFL
scrambling to
players.
get Kevin Hart to do something since he's in the
Facts.
kind of in the news recently, for better or for worse.
Something relevant.
Something relevant, but all right. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. There, it's good. Finally here, Super Bowl. I did waver a little bit. I ain't gonna lie to you boys. As you know, that Raiders game on Christmas Day wavered me a little bit, but we're here. I'm excited to watch it. Where can the good people find you? As I'm sure you'll be tweeting out some of the stuff either during the game or leading up to it, CJ.
At CGZ81, you just can DM me, follow me. I'm gonna have some great content out for the game. And hey, the weather's great this week. The sun is shining. I think the football guys are Chiefs fans now, boys. Let's go get us another one, huh?
Yeah, just in time for the weather to go crap next week for the Super Bowl parade.
Hey, relax. Knock on wood. Relax.
That'll be a fun one too. They got to figure out what days that's going to be with Valentine's in the middle.
That'll be funny. All the wives are gonna be pissed.
Yeah, for sure. And you can follow me on Twitter at 10penny88. I'll probably be live tweeting a little bit, yelling about something. Oh, I forgot to throw out biggest prediction. Not for a touchdown. I think they run a quarterback sneak. I'm willing it.
Finally,
I'm willing it into existence. It's going to be.
Can we bet that? Can we bet it?
I don't know. I don't think you can bet it, but it's happening.
There's got to be an offshore book.
It's
somewhere
happening. I'm calling out. I had this thought
sneak.
a couple days ago. I was like,
now they're gonna do
this
it.
This would be the time to break it if it does.
Nobody's expecting it.
So I will be tweeting about that nonstop. I'm always tweeting about the quarterback sneak. Like that's my thing.
If they do it, Chris may lose his mind.
I may lose my mind, or if they somehow get Nick Allegretti in the end zone like they tried to 2 years ago or last year. All right, Robert Keegan, take us home.
Yep, you can also find me at Keeganator_11. I will be tweeting a ton, of course, but also tweeting stuff out from our podcast page at KCSA Pod. A lot of fun stuff going on right now between football, basketball, baseball. If you're a KU fan, had a fun conversation with the head KU baseball coach this week. Go check that out. Spring training is just around the corner. Chris and I are going to talk about Bobby Witt, of course, you're coming up. We got a lot of fun stuff going. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now here on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you for checking us out there as well. We're on the mission to get to 500 subscribers. We've picked up about 80 or so in the last week and a half. We'd love to pick up another 60 or 50 by the time the Super Bowl wraps up. And you could do us a favor by doing that right now. Share it with a friend. Leave your comments about the game below. Would love all that. You can also hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KCSA Pod, as well as see some of the stuff that Chris retweets on the aftermath_KC. A lot of content going on. Continue to support us. We got a lot of fun stuff going. And it's just a great time to be a Kansas City area sports fan, not just the Chiefs, but all sorts of good stuff going on here. So it's going to be a blast.
Champions, huh?
Let's go out and get a big dub this weekend, boys.
Let's get one more, boys.
One more.
Job's not finished.
Jeez.